Hey folks, guess what? I'm tired of grinding, but it will be well worth it in the end, and I'm going to show you why. I'm sitting here right next to this big giant behemoth of a machine, and I talked about the setup, the layout, and now after all is said and done, I'm going to show you what my end result is before I put the plate on, and just go through a few things with you. Number one, I screwed up. Heaven forbid I didn't bend over and measure this plate. Well, instead of, if you remember in the last video, I said it was 1.25 inches. It's 1.5 inches. So that means my surface, I was wrong in my cut with the 8 3/4. Whoa, that's not good. Boy, a tripod is supposed to stay upright, not tip over. Okay, well, whatever. It's getting old and crappy, and kind of like the guy that's running the show here. And anyway, so I'll get back to it here. That 8 3/4 was wrong. So here's another tip for you youngins: don't be afraid to admit your mistakes. Blah blah blah. Because why hide them? You know, other people can learn from that kind of stuff. So at any rate, I recalculated, and it was only 1/4 inch. So I had to torch off an extra 1/4 inch. Big whoop. I had to do it twice. Not a big deal. So what I came up with, because I had to do that, I was able to torch pretty square. And I'll show you. I talked about putting backer bars in here, and I don't know if you can see it, but I will show it to you. I went over to my junk pile. You know, one time I welded a bunch of bars together, those thin plates, and then I was cutting a bunch of stuff the same length, so I took these little tabs. They're only 1/8 inch material, and I'll show you what I did. Number one, we'll go through this. Okay, so I'm sitting down because I'm tired. I hope that's okay with you folks. So, if you see, I got a square, and I will show you. Do you see the light? Do you see the light? Go towards the light. Anyhow, I have those little tabs right there and right there. And of course my square is moved, but same thing here. I got 2 squares and the little tabs. So we are at 8.5 from that 48 inch mark. If you've been following this series, if not, go back and watch. You can see it right here. Maybe it's a better picture. So I've got a nice, here's a little bit wide, but I got a nice, just a nice gap that I'm going to do a nice root pass, and it's going to bleed right through. And then I got to thinking, well, instead of the backer bar, I can reach through that side and get 90% of this. So, well, 50% of it. So, those 4 little tabs, where are you? They're in there. Right there, and right there. And the 2 on this side are actually what I'm going to bump the plate up to. I just got done tacking a piece of rectangle on, and I'm going to just hang it from the boom, which is right above me, so I'll have a straight shot, and I'll just use it come along instead of tying up the forklift for half a day or whatever. And then what I got to do is take this fire blanket out, because that hole has to accept the pillow block mount, and ooh, that's ugly in there. So basically I need a center line here now, the drive line. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to back up. I'm going to back up and show you something else. You ever been a woodworker? Woodworkers do this to see what kind of cup is in a board. Okay? Pipe fitters do it too. with flanges and stuff. They'll put 2 flanges on a pipe, and they use 2 bolts, whatever, in the holes, and they eyeball to make sure they're parallel. In carpentry, in woodworking, it's called winding sticks. You lay 2 sticks on your board, and in metalworking, it's called using 2 squares. So let me turn this. So just because I'm that way, I'm anal retentive, I want to make sure that we're good all the way up this. It's hard to hold it, but if you eyeball the one square to the other, they're both parallel enough. So from side to side, I don't have any more cattywampus. And if you can see my joints, they are all polished, just smooth. And here on these joints, I was talking about, it was a bugger to cut through both of them. You get them hot enough, they'll go. But then I took the grinder and I gouged in here to get rid of the slag out of that joint. So when I start doing my rip pass and my next pass, I don't have crap slag from the torch. And where I screwed up with the torch, where I, shook, made oopsies, I take the grinder and I get that all out of there, get that slag out of there. This one was real bad. They had quite a separation behind it. You can see it penetrated in there. So you just take the edge of your grinder and clean that crap out. Clean it right out. So I'm pretty confident with that. And so tomorrow, or the next day, it depends, that plate is going to get hung on there. And like I said, I have to get the other plate. That mount has to be reused out of there. So I got to torch it out, and it attaches in here. Basically from here up. So that, being this is a 13-inch hole, I need 6.5 as my center line. I did measure that. It is identical to that. So 6.5 is where it's setting in there to the center. That's all fine and good. Well, actually, this is the top. So I'll have 6.5, but I still have to line up when I take the what you call it out. I have to take take into account that pillow block has to be perfectly parallel to match the transmission to the drive shaft back there. That's stationary. I can't have a bunch of axial load on it. If you know what axial load is, that's side load. That's I think that's what that is. Anyways, I'm tired. And that's a lot of grinding, man, to get that clean. And that's, like I said in the beginning, that's the worst part of the damn job, is getting it cleaned up and ready to go. Burn some holes in my pants and, the typical welder stuff. But I got her 8.5, dead nuts. That'll put me, whatever I said on that dimension, 48 and, yeah, 8.5. And then 1.5 inches is that number I was. And it was ironic because I got down to that original plate. There, I got my feet up. It's after 5, I can do that. It's ironic because you could see the original factory mount for it. So I just had to go a little bit deeper and we're good to go. So all our dimensions from input yoke to that yoke are going to be within that 1/4 inch, and then their drive shaft has enough slop in the spline, if you will, slide, with the male and the female, the mama and the daddy, as Yuha used to say, will be just fine. There'll be enough room in there. So the next chore is going to be me hanging that on there and getting it centered up so you guys can, and then I'll take you through the welding process. I actually talked to the owner today. He called and and asked me how it was going on here, and I said, well, this is one of those projects that I'm doing on my time, because I want to do it. I'm not having the guys do it. The shop is busier than heck. And so they've been busy on, oh, it's been a whirlwind around here, and it's that way. And he said, no, don't worry about it, just was curious when it was getting done. So that's it, you know. He was just curious, so he's been trying to get a hold of me. We've been missing each other on the phone for about 2 weeks here, and just wanted to update. So tell him the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Set you. Gesundheit. Anyway, so that's it. That's the, I don't know what I'm going to call this, but weld prep. That's what I'm going to call it, weld prep. So we're prepped. I got that. Once I figure that out and hang it, like I said, I'll be able to just hang that plate from that thing, and at that point, once I determine my square and level, you know, I kind of lied. I didn't lie, but things change like this. I can't just set it on there with the tabs, and not yet. I gotta pull that off and measure my stuff to the transmission. Measure this one back here. Get my center line straight through. And obviously these are at two different planes right now, so I'm gonna have to square, run in there with a square, somehow measure from a bolt hole, measure from a bolt hole on that one, get my, and because we want perfection, especially in drive lines. Especially when there's a pillow block in the center of those two, and them two don't move, but they actually do move. You know what I mean. We'll be all right. So, unless it's a spherical, maybe it's a spherical. It's a pillow block type, but anyways, we'll get back to you. I'll bring you back when I'm done picking the black grinding out of my ear, and then I hope you guys are all well out there and good and in La La Land, and we're having a good time, and it's rambling. Okay, enough said. Get people to subscribe, man. I need more subscribers. Get people to watch this welding stuff. I need more pupils, not these kind. Learners. Hope you don't mind my cheap light setup, but hey, whatever works, right? See you, bye.